Welcome to another episode of the Third Wheel Podcast. I'm Caleb.
I'm Shaps.
And we are excited to continue on this wonderful spiritual journey that we're all having to go through right now. It is a fine Saturday afternoon here in this wonderful studio that we're renting out for $1 million a month.
$1 million, pocket. It's only until we can get a bigger place, you know what I'm saying?
Just until we get a bigger place.
Yeah.
Speaking of bigger places, interesting story going on right now. Billy McFarland, if anyone knows who he is, he's the guy. Okay, there's this old festival that happened a while ago now. It's called Fyre Festival, F-Y-R-E. It was hosted by this dude named Billy McFarland, and it was a big scam. He took everyone's money. He promised like a big luxury vacation out on like some island. Everyone's gonna get their own like hotel room, and they get there. They pay all this money. And when they get there, like, there's tents, there's, like, cheap school lunch meals that are being passed out to everybody. He promised, like, all these big concerts with all these really famous, like, artists coming in.
Yeah, some of these tickets were, like, thousands of dollars, if I remember.
None of the major artists were there. I don't even think they even started playing music. Like, it was just this big thing. Like, and then everyone, spent all their money thinking everything was covered. And they think that they get to the island, they take a bus to their tent, and it was just such a big mess. And then Billy gets arrested for wire fraud, ripping everyone off. It was a highly publicized deal. It's promoted by all these big celebrities who'd end up not going. And when it's all finally said and done, like, Billy McFarland gets arrested. And interesting is he got like a 6-year sentence on wire fraud, and he got released. And as soon as he gets released, he's like, "Hey, I'm starting another thing. It's not called the festival though. It's like called Pirate. It's spelled really weird, but he's starting this new. It's the same exact thing. He's promising the influencers. He's promising all this stuff.
But Caleb, it's nothing like that. It's nothing like that.
It's got a flashy new name. Yo ho, Pirate. And it's
wow.
It's mind blowing. You know what I mean? Like,
just like is it delusion or is it desperation?
I think it's delusion. Well, okay, he's like millions of dollars in debt, so
right.
there's some desperation in there. It's delusional in the fact that, let me just read this like quote to you. He says, "I was talking to somebody yesterday, and they're like, you can crawl in the hole and die, or you can go and try and do something, just like not promising any results." And by not promising results, he's saying like, oh, I'll just say I'm doing this festival. I'm not going to promise how great it's going to be. I'm just going to like leave the details up to y'all in a sense.
No, I think I'd rather crawl in a hole and die at that point.
Yeah, for real. So, I mean, I understand the aspect of like, okay, am I just going to give up on life, or am I going to actually just like try something different?
He could have started a soup kitchen.
Yeah, that would have like, apparently he's very charismatic, because I feel like he's already talked to big investors. I mean, I don't know, but like, if he's coming out of prison, he's just gonna make the exact same mistake. I'm actually shocked, and I'm sitting here like, bro, like, I hope nobody puts money into this. Nobody hears about this and starts spending money. Like, this is such a bad idea. And
there's
like,
always that what if though, the what if idea. The what if he's actually telling the truth? What if it's real? And then I missed out on it because I believed Caleb on the Third Wheel Podcast.
You run this podcast too. What am I supposed to tell people?
Well, I just hope it works out for him, honestly. I'm always trying to stay optimistic. You know what? I hope it works out. I hope people don't lose money and everyone just has a grand old time. Yeah, that's my stance on it.
You know what? I love your optimism, because I'm sitting here like, it's such a scam, bro. Someone else pointed this out. It's literally called Pirate. What do pirates do? They steal.
Pirates
they
are
lie.
fun. Pirates are fun.
Pirates are pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It says like, someone quotes here, a former product designer at Fyre Media. So someone who used to work for him at Fyre, but behind Fyre Festival, is like, It's Billy's still Billy. He's using different words, but he's selling the same thing. And it's the same thing. He's like, oh, we're just going to do the same thing again. We're going to go on a luxury vacation. And he's just like, I just won't make any promises. Like, oh, that's great. I love that. I love that marketing tactic. I just won't tell people what it's about. I don't know. I don't know what his thinking is.
No promises. He just doesn't want to, like, over deliver. You know what I'm saying? Wants it to be a surprise.
Delusion, I think the answer is yes. I give props for someone trying to bounce back.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I'll give you points for that. Like, you don't want to just, like, he's still young, and he's like, let me like, I don't want to do nothing with my life. I get that. He wants to, like, try again. If he's dead set on being a business owner.
I mean, dude,
come up with your own plan. Like, come up with a new plan.
Here's the thing, though. I mean, obviously, he had to have had access to some money.
Yeah.
So he's not like a nobody, but everyone's talking about him now. Like, and he's relevant for a little bit. You know, he's only relevant as long as he keeps these scams going.
Well, someone like him who, if he does get a taste of success, there's no way he's not going to go back and start committing more crimes with it.
Sure, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if this new whatever it's called, Pirate Festival, if it's successful and he actually does have a successful trip and it's a good campaign and he runs it clean, like, I just feel like as soon as he tastes success, he's going to just go back to what he did before.
Sure.
And just start being shady, start ripping people off, start all that stuff. Like, once he if he does find a successful business model for this type of stuff, like, there's nothing stopping him. Like, he's been shady before. He's coming out swinging, making the same promises, making the same mistake. Like, someone who's not learned his lesson. So if this is actually successful, like you're talking about, very next project he does is going to be run shady, you know. But this time he'll have actual money to back it up with.
What do you think his pirate name would be?
Pirate name?
Yeah, sure.
Let's see.
Captain
Mac. I don't know. McFarland. Over yonder.
Okay,
Yo-ho.
okay. I like that. And his ship is called the Fyre Festival.
Oh, God.
That's actually pretty awesome. All right.
Next topic. Before I think we're gonna make a transition over to just movies, just a little bit, nothing crazy. It's more so like movie journalism. And you actually had some thoughts. You're like, oh, not only do I want to talk about that, but I also have my own stuff that I hate.
Sure.
We might have to rebrand this podcast as like a super hateful podcast. we only talk about.
I try to steer it, you know, to more neutral ground sometimes.
You do, and you know, to your credit, sometimes you're successful, but other times I just go right back to doing what I love.
I always try to play. You know, everyone says I'm a devil's advocate, but I'm like, I always swap between prosecuting and defense attorney. Like, no matter what the conversation, I'm always going to be arguing the other side. It's just how I am. So
you hear that, criminals? He's on your side.
I will defend you.
If we ever get famous on this podcast, he will be the one that, like, you want a good PR guy.
100%.
You know what? You probably could have saved Amber Heard's career. You know what I mean? If our podcast was something and she got on,
I heard a pirate murdered her career, actually.
Oh, dang.
No. So, no. Legitimately, I come up with a little exercise of mine is to defend the worst people in history, like, as a hypothetical. How would you defend them? And everyone's like, what the crap are you talking about? It's just hypothetical, you know, like, what if you had to? What if you had to defend them as we do, you know, with our justice system? So yeah, it's a pretty fun exercise. You should try it sometime.
So,
who am I defending today, Caleb?
Oh, I hope you don't. I need you to make an exception for today. We cannot say... I don't have anything good to say about what I'm about to bring up.
Oh, great. All right.
Okay. This is a public service announcement to all of our listeners. Oh, by the way, I'm so thankful for you guys. Like, we had such a great turnout on our first episode. And, I mean, I know a lot of that's just friends being like, hey...
I didn't even tell my mom about it yet. So, all the, you know, the viewers...
I can't shut up about it, if I'm being honest with you. Like, I can't quit telling people. But we had such a good, like, our YouTube channel that we put up for this podcast already has 9 subscribers. And I'm like, oh, man, only 9? Like, that's 9 more than I thought we'd get, if I'm being honest with you. I didn't think we'd get that many.
I wasn't going to subscribe to it.
Like exactly, right? Yeah. Now, granted, one guy I know is like, oh, I subscribed twice. And I was like, okay, well, that's not helpful, but thanks. You know, I appreciate the
bot accounts.
Yeah. But... yeah.
So, okay, very thankful for our audience. Now let's completely dunk on people who are audience for another platform. Is this where you're going with?
Oh, no. I just wanted to say thanks to our people. Thanks to our 9 subscribers. And maybe it'll go up from here. I don't know. Sky's the limit.
To 900?
Yeah. Overnight. Anyway, okay. If you've ever... Don't ever. Public service announcement. Never, ever, ever click on an article written... or a video directed by the YouTube channel or website Looper. Stay away from Looper. I cannot stand that.
Now that seems a little harsh right out the gate. That's a fellow YouTuber, Caleb. Why?
Yeah, from one creator to another, you guys suck.
Because I'm sure there's plenty of humans operating that platform.
Okay. Have you ever clicked on a Looper article or video?
I have.
Okay. Do you remember which one?
Honestly, it's pretty much like BuzzFeed.
Yeah, it's just like super generic information, but they'll pick out a clickbaity title, which, you know, we do that too. Like that's just a thing. It helps.
But yeah, well, when we do it, it's like, you know, we're underdogs, so we're allowed to do it.
Yeah, you know, we got to play dirty to get an audience. Yeah. But okay, they're like a very generic, like, oh, 4 villains you'll never see in an MCU film. And it's like super generic information. Like we know X-Men is owned by Fox. We, you know, not everyone knows that, but, you know, us nerds, we knew that. Mm-hmm. And this was way back in the day, so now actually Disney owns all of it. Right. So this is outdated information. But the video they posted was like four guys that you'll never see in the MCU. And it was like, we already know Wolverine's was at the time never going to be in a Marvel film. It was just like super generic information. Like, we know this, you know, or here's one right now. Why Hollywood won't cast Brendan Fraser anymore? Which, of course, now he's being casted. Like, this is all outdated information, but at the time it was like generic, like, well, he hasn't had a movie in a while that's made money. You know, it's like, they clickbait the title to make it seem like they got this really good inside scoop. You know, like, oh man, like, we talked to Brendan Fraser, we talked to people that worked with him, like, this is why Hollywood will not cast him. Yeah. And then you click on it, it's just like, well, he's had several flops, like, just generic information that I could have done in my own head. Sure. You know, like, I could already guess that. You know, here's another one. It's the same idea. Why Hollywood won't cast Tobey Maguire. Like, they don't know that. Like, they don't know anything nothing super insightful. They don't have any cool information. They don't talk to any interviewers. Like, nothing like that. They don't talk to people that are insiders into the studio. They just, like, something you could Google. And they still got all these views, all these subscribers. I'm not jealous. Like, I don't care if we get views or not. Like, I'm just sitting here like, who watches these? And it's such generic information. They're not good journalists. They don't give us anything new.
To be honest, I really don't know who watches them. Like, right. The reason that they're so generic is because they're mass produced. Mm-hmm. Like, I bet you they come up with like 2 videos a day at least. Right. Or something like that.
Let's look. Go ahead.
Yeah. Watch Mojo is actually pretty similar to that. So Watch Mojo is like this top 10 list YouTube channel that it's been going on since, like, oh my gosh, over 10 years probably, maybe even more than that. And eventually, you know, you run out of top 10s to talk about. So what they'll do is just recycle the old ones, or they'll change some order of some. And then, like you said, they'll keep it very simple and vague and obvious just so they can pump it out more, faster. It just feels very robotic, and it doesn't feel like there's people at the helm. It's just made by AI or something, or they're just looking at numbers and algorithms. They don't care what they put out there, as long as it just makes it out there and they get those viewers. And again, like I said before, it's just like BuzzFeed. Like, who reads all the BuzzFeed articles? Well, if you throw it in their people's face enough and it's just tempting enough for you to actually click on it, they got you.
Yeah, I never clicked on the Looper thing. I made the mistake like 3 times. Sure. Clicking on a Looper thing and being like disappointed because it seemed like a story I'd be very interested in. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, it's nothing. It's like eating a rice cracker. Yeah. Like, there's nothing they didn't put cheese on it. There's no flavor. It's just nothing. No. So, okay, I'm clicking on Looper's thing, and they actually post very consistently. Yeah. So, within the past day, I'm talking 2 day, 4 videos.
4 videos today?
4 videos within 24 hours.
That's more than I thought. So, yeah.
That is insane. Mm-hmm. Now, okay, at least with Watch Mojo, there's like... Okay, you're right. They kind of go off of like a Wikipedia article, like, right. top 10 films, blah blah blah. They just like click on a Wikipedia article, or they'll go with like popular opinion. Yeah. I don't ever get the sense that they're working from their own opinion. I don't even think they watched all the movies that they put in their list. You know? No, you can tell, but they're going off of either fan reaction, someone else's list that they just ripped off. But I will say, I think there's some entertainment value that, in a sense, for me with Watch Mojo. I'll click on a video that says like top 10 horror films in the 80s.
Yeah.
And then I found like 3 or 4 movies I hadn't seen. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, that's a really cool scene. I'm going to go watch the rest of it.
Sure.
So they at least pointed me in the right direction for some like good movies and whatnot. But overall, like I know what you mean though.
I just feel like there are some, the reason that's a problem is because there are so many YouTubers who do it better.
Yeah.
There are a lot of YouTubers who do the exact same thing, with more entertainment, with more soul, with more heart to it. A million times better, but Watch Mojo, look at their subscribers. Like, they're huge.
Yeah, it's gigantic. But it's like such an easy video for them to click on
and
be like, oh, let me watch this. Now, I still say, I think you can have fun with the Watch Mojo video. Looper, I never have any fun. I always walk away disappointed and upset. It's pretty annoying.
Yeah. What happens when we end up on a Looper video? You know, what do you think would be?
You better say top 10 best podcasts that you've never heard of. So there's another like news article that really annoys me, or not article, like website that reports on stuff. It's called We Got This Covered. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Okay, well they're all over Facebook. I don't know how active you are on social media.
Not very.
I was gonna see it when I get on Facebook. I see the little green bubble next to your name going like, oh, he's active. So I was like, maybe you just keep the tab open. I don't know.
That's pretty much
it. But okay, so there's always, it's clickbaity article, which I'm okay with, I get it. But as long as when I click on it, there's actually something worth watching. You know, if it'll say like this, you know, Alec Baldwin's responsible for killing somebody, and then you click on it, it talks about the Rush shooting incident. That's an interesting story.
Sure.
But We Got This Covered will straight up make up false information. They'll pick, say like, you know, we're into Marvel films, and it'll say like, oh, here's who Marvel contacted to play Mr. Fantastic, and it's like, and they pick someone who would be like, oh, that'd be kind of interesting choice,
right?
But it's a lie. Like that never happened. You know what I mean? So that they'll straight up make up fake information just to get clicks, and every time it pops up on either Facebook or when I click Bing. And it shows you all these different pages. Whenever I see We Got This Covered, if it gives me the option to click X at the top right, I do it because they should not exist.
You know what? I saw this one video that was labeled like, what was it? Oh yeah, like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's a fraud or something.
Yeah.
You know? And
yeah.
Like, what do people think?
Yeah, and then like you clicked on the video and it's like these two jerks who are just like what kind of podcast was that? Like, what am I listening to? And it was weird. I listened to the whole thing.
Actually, a couple times.
Yeah, it was weird to me.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. You know, I actually don't hate my voice as much as I thought I would. So like, I know the first episode I was like, man, I actually don't like how I sound. But I was actually, over time, I was like, this isn't that bad.
Yeah, I'm still getting used to mine, honestly.
I could see that. I understand. But so while we're on the transition, talking about Looper and We Got This Covered, like, do you remember the early attempts before actual VR, like before Facebook bought the VR stuff, metaverse and all that stuff going on?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Do you remember the earlier attempts to make good VR experiences?
Yeah, you mean like in the? I mean,
I'm talking like Wii.
Oh, that is what you're talking about. I thought you were talking about like the early VR headset stuff. So like before,
what are those?
Well, I mean, like the Oculus was obviously the first like not affordable one, but like just prominent device. Back when it was like $1,000 or something, or $800, and a lot of YouTubers had them, and there were very few video games on the market. Like there was no streamline access or anything. Again, they were just too expensive for anyone to get their hands on, except if you're like a big YouTuber or rich or something like that. So it was like a treat. It was a pleasure, like, you know, like to actually hold one and to wear one for like an hour or something. Like you would go somewhere, you would pay money just to do it. And now they're actually quite affordable. They're probably they're like cheaper than most like video game consoles.
Like I mean, for the Quest 2, the Oculus Quest 2, which I have now, is like $400.
Yeah, exactly. And I got mine for less. Like so like. They're a lot more accessible now. But if you're asking, like...
Well, I mean, while we're on the subject, we may as well go back and kind of go through a whole history.
Yeah, sure.
So what was before the Wii? Was there anything significant before the Wii?
Well, VR has actually been attempted all the way back since, like, the 90s. I mean, maybe even before that. But I could see that,
because there were plenty of movies where, like, oh, we get to plug into
the idea was there.
Yeah.
And they had to have gotten it from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the very first like iteration, I believe, of like VR as we know it was like the Virtual Boy, like Nintendo's Virtual Boy that failed, that bombed. A lot of people know
a Virtual
about
Boy.
Oh, you don't know? So Virtual Boy is like this headset. Looks very much like a headset we would wear today. It was all red, and when you put it on, it was basically infrared. Like all the images were there, and it was kind of like it wasn't like VR. It was like 3D essentially, like 3D goggles, but like with an interface built in. And everything like was just again red and black. So there wasn't any color or anything, and there wasn't really much interaction. And in fact, people hate it so much that again it just like bombed practically first day. And
Why did
actually,
they hate it?
It was uncomfortable. It gave people headaches immediately.
Oh, yeah.
Like again,
like
early stuff. And we don't know anything about what's safe to put in front of your eyes.
Doctors hate this headset.
Like, there's actually a myth about TVs hurting your eyes. I don't actually think I think I read something that was actually real, or it's like way blown out of proportion. But like,
are you talking about like putting your kid too close to the TV?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's actually a myth, but
I think it is too. My mom used to do it. I mean, granted, she just wanted to make sure we weren't hurting our eyes.
Yeah, sure.
But I think you're right that like that's a myth. Discontinued. Same thing with standing too close to the microwave whenever you're cooking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All that stuff you don't really know, but the fact that people were like experimenting around, even though they
are you saying it was poorly received because doctors thought it was bad for you?
No, it was poorly received because people actually confirmed that it gave you headaches and it was uncomfortable to wear. Like it was generally like bad, and the games were like too simplistic for it to actually be entertaining. So it was a flop. But then like fast forward a little bit, I think the closest. Do you remember like? Did you watch an episode of Shark Tank where there was like the hamster ball VR head?
I've seen that.
So it was a big giant hamster ball that was like. That you essentially there's this mechanism where you can like walk in it and you put a headset on, and that's supposed to emulate movement. And the idea was to build like facilities where they had like hundreds of these, and it would cost to purchase one would be like over $10,000, and then to like rent them out would be I don't know $100 or something. And it was gonna be this big thing where they would open up these facilities and everyone would get in their little ball, and they would have like. They would have like shooters where everyone was like on their own team and they were able to run next to each other, and then there was like they advertised that it would be good for military training, but again the way it looked like it kind of looks cool, but then it doesn't look fun at all. It doesn't look like just that was only a few years ago. Like the jump from giant hamster ball that's like $10,000 maybe even more to a VR headset that's like $400 that you don't need any additional equipment for. Because then, like after the hamster ball, the Oculus came out, and you needed a super clear space. You couldn't have anything in the way. You needed cameras all over the room. You need to dedicate an entire room to your house, right? And all that was so expensive, and just like you never see any of that. But the bright side was some of the games actually like I think I don't want to say I don't know. I think Superhot came out. No, not around that time. I think Amnesia went VR. I want to say Amnesia was VR. I could be wrong about that, but
let's back up a bit to that hamster ball thing you're telling me about. So, okay, pause on that VR conversation because I do want to come back to that. You brought up an interesting point to me. Where do you think you were saying like it looks like a cool idea, but it doesn't look fun?
Well, I mean, it looks interesting. It looks sci-fi. It looks interesting.
Yeah, no, I get you. Okay, I apologize if the person I'm going to bring up, I'm not going to mention names, obviously, but, like, I had hearing Shaps talk about that thing kind of got me thinking. I have a buddy. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. If this person listens, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I do apologize. He made a board game that was, like, super complex. It requires, like, 15 players.
Sure.
It's got this long, and I was like, I like the idea. I think it was like a war game, like a board game. But I was like, he's got all these rules. It's huge. It's exhaustive, and I get like he wants to make some immersion. But I was like, I feel like there's too much in here to where it's actually not fun. And I was like, and I was telling him, and he was saying he has trouble like getting 15 players to get together to play the game. And I was like, well, duh.
Right.
That's hard. I'm a very popular guy. I have trouble with that sometimes.
Sure.
That wants to sit around and play a board game.
Yeah, 15 people's a lot.
And I just recommended to him like, hey, maybe you should like shorten the rules a bit, cut back how many players you need. And he immediately was just like, oh, no, for my vision, it needs to have all that. It needs to have all this extra stuff that's not necessary. Of course, he didn't say that. But
sure.
I was just like, okay, bro. Like, I get it. I understand, like, your artistic integrity. I get that. I understand, like... But I was like, bro, if you're trying to sell the game, though, like, the publisher's job is to, like... Okay, I like your idea, but like here's some changes you need to make it more fun, because we want to sell the game. We don't just want to make it into something.
Right.
We want to sell it too. So, do you think there's a line between like, okay, this is a great idea, but you need to like shorten it down to make it fun?
It will, absolutely, but it always sucks to be the first person trying it. Mm-hmm. For instance, these people who developed the hamster wheel.
Yeah, we can go back to that now.
They were trying to throw like VR was just on the brink of being released, or someone figuring out how to do VR, and everyone was trying to do it.
Yeah,
it was just too expensive though. I think is why it was a big problem for so long. But like for the reason why it was a hamster wheel is because they didn't really know how movement would work. Like how do you? Because like VR was a thing, mind you, but you were always stationary. How do you emulate movement? Well, hamster wheel, boom, instantly, like obvious answer. But then you see all the problems. They didn't actually sell this thing, mind you, on Shark Tank. But all the things that just come with it, all the problems. But like you need wacky stuff like that and crazy stuff in order to find and innovate. Like, okay, we see it, we see the potential, but how can we cut it down and make it more simple?
Yeah.
Just like the Virtual Boy. Like, obviously, it's crazy that people thought that this was going to be a thing, but they had to try something.
Yeah.
And eventually, by looking at the Virtual Boy, okay, well, I didn't like what it was, but I liked the idea. And the fact is, like, if you look at a Virtual Boy, it looks very similar to an Oculus.
Yeah.
So they definitely took inspiration from the design. They went back to the drawing board of like the original design. Okay, well they had something close.
We need adjustable straps.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then Oculus came out, with their headset, and everyone went crazy. And then they started like selling them out at like, I think Main Event had a bunch of Oculus.
Yeah, they do now. I believe.
They still do.
Yeah.
But yeah, like they were the first one. Well, that was the first like public space. Where you can go and try a VR headset.
Well, before we get to Oculus, I think we should go back a bit. So I remember this was like, I had to have been like 18.
Yeah.
They had this weird device where there's a helmet, and they put you on a little treadmill.
Yeah.
And you're like, if you want to run somewhere in the game, you got to run on the treadmill, and so you're staying in place, so you're not bumping into stuff.
Sure.
But like it's supposed to be like VR. You know what I
Right.
mean? So if you're trying to run somewhere, you run on the treadmill, and it just that never picked up.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a great idea. Right. I was like, but I could see, like, when I'm on a treadmill, guys, I run kind of funny. So I already knew if I'm running on this thing, if it snags, I'm gonna run off of it and die, or excuse me, I'm gonna step out too far, take too big of a step, take too little of a step. I knew it was gonna be, and it never picked up. But it was an attempt, and it's like I said, we needed failures to get to where we're at now.
Exactly, and now I would still say that VR is like, it's close to getting there, but not quite there yet.
I know what you mean.
Because like, okay,
it's close though.
It's finally affordable. We never thought I'd see the day where it would be affordable.
Not $1,000.
Yeah, exactly. I have one actually. But here's the problem, and everyone I know.
Which one do you have?
I have the Quest 2. I bought it pretty much the first day it came out.
Cool.
And I loved it. But again, the problem I had is the same problem everyone else has. I can't really explain that well. Well, I probably can, but yeah. After 3 months, I stopped using it. I haven't used it since. I lost interest, and I can't really explain exactly the reason.
I probably could.
Well, if I had to think about it, I would say, yeah, it's kind of a pain to charge everything and to put it all in. The convenience factor, like it's still a little too inconvenient. At least for me. Like obviously, you don't have to have cameras anymore. You have to have a mat. You don't have to have like a giant setup.
Yeah. The original Oculus, the wires. There were wires connected to controllers.
It was insane.
You had to set up the cameras, and then like to set your borders of like your play area.
Right.
You had to hold the controllers out in front of you and like walk in a big square. Then if you accidentally hit the camera, then you had to start over and like. It was kind of a hassle.
Yeah, now like they're experimenting with it. I don't know how far they are with art, but now you don't even need controllers.
Yeah,
you just use your hands. And you can see your hands.
Now that's still in like testing, but like that's so cool.
Which is like, again, it's almost there.
Yeah,
it's not quite there.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: there also weren't even like that many good games for a while,
Right.
because what developer would want to throw a bunch of money at a product that not everyone is going to actually dive into yet?
Right.
Like, it's experimental, highly experimental. There's no guarantee that's going to find success. So, companies will like bank everything on VR, and then like a VR side flops because like they weren't expecting all these problems that VR brings. You have to think about it four-dimensionally, which is so crazy to think about. So I think like the best example of VR is like Half-Life Alyx, for instance. Valve hit and struck gold like as soon like the first thing they did was I think they were probably working on it for a long time, but Half-Life Alyx is like renowned as like probably the best VR game out there.
Do you have to play the other Half-Lives too?
Yeah.
So you have to play the other ones to get that.
Oh, do you have to?
To understand Alex.
I don't think so. I mean, like for story maybe, but like for the experience, no, you don't.
Okay.
Like I'm talking about like the actual VR experience itself. Yeah. It actually makes you feel like you're there. The detail is amazing. The graphics look incredible, but it's really the only one of its kind. All the other games, like they have to sacrifice a lot of graphical capabilities just to keep up with the processing, like of rendering everything at once.
Yeah.
To make sure that wherever you move, that's where the camera's moving. It's a lot of power, and not a whole lot of companies can keep up with it or can dedicate that much resource to it. But it's getting there. I think like Hitman 3 came out on VR recently, which is like really cool idea.
Yes.
It was janky as all get out at the first. Like that's the thing. They're getting around all the technical janky or technical whatever.
I don't see why by the Oculus Quest 4 and 5 we shouldn't have it nailed down.
Exactly. And here's the thing. It might not even be Oculus, to be honest. I don't like how Facebook owns it. I will say that. It's very intrusive, and I don't feel comfortable how they basically have 24/7 cameras just like sitting there.
Oh, that's everywhere, bro.
And you have to have a Facebook account in order to use it. I don't like that at all. But like, here's the thing. Even though VR is getting there, things like Meta failed. Like I would say it right now, it's failed.
100%.
Like even though people were corporations were banking on this working, it is 100% failed. How do you lose to VR chat, a free software that anyone can play? You don't even need a VR headset to play it.
Right.
And that was like I don't know how much money they put into it. Probably not much. I think it's built off like an old source engine or something.
VR chat. No.
VR chat.
Yeah, and the metaverse has like $40 billion pumped into it.
Yeah, and no one's using it. And then they did, because here's the thing, they tried to integrate it into your life.
Yeah.
Like they said, oh, you're going to have like meetings, like work meetings on Metaverse, You're going to be able to shop in Metaverse where you can pick out clothes. Like, then you see it. Like, it's a cool concept, but then you see it in execution. It's like, but we're not there yet. Yeah. We're like always 10 years behind or something.
Yeah, well, 10 more years. I don't see why we're not already just downloading our consciousness into the game.
Yeah, exactly. So I have a little mantra or like a rule of thumb. If giant corporations are sinking billions of dollars into something, it's probably not going to work. Like they are so slow when it comes to trend chasing.
Is that a tried and true thing for you that's held up?
I'm just saying, yeah, pretty much.
So,
like whenever Amazon, Google, and Apple are chasing, like for instance,
Google Stadia.
Stadia was a big thing. A lot of people put their money behind Stadia, and that failed. NFTs. NFTs came out. And guess
They're
what?
Still trying to push NFTs.
Guess what happened? Yeah, Sony was trying to do it. I think Google was trying to do it, but like Sony was one of the biggest offenders of that.
Well, like Ubisoft or Ubisoft, however you say it, but they were trying to sell NFTs for their video games.
Yeah, and they were like,
insane.
Absolutely, we're still sticking with it. Like, no, you're not. Like, give up on it. Like, you wasted so much money. Like, all these assets they had to sell. And here's the thing: most commonly, like after a week, anyone who's on Reddit would know, okay, this is going to fail. It's not going to last very long.
Yeah.
But when you sink millions of dollars into something, you have to commit to it. And that's the disadvantage that these corporations are under. So that's kind of my tracker. If what something's going to fail or succeed or not. For my job, I'm not going to go with my job is, but for my job, I actually did have to do research and experiment on the metaverse because my corporation actually wanted to go forward with the metaverse. Like they wanted to dive in that. And I said from the very beginning, honestly, just from my experience on the internet, from what I've seen what corporations do, I really don't think it's going to work. They're like, no, it's going to work. We're going to do it. We're going to build everything for the metaverse. It's going to be all metaverse, right? Well, a year later, now they're like, yeah, it's gonna fail, 100% fail. I mean, I said that from the very beginning. They're like, yeah, but if the only reason is because of Mark Zuckerberg, I'm like, no, it's because it was a stupid idea to begin with.
Right.
Like, it wasn't even supposed to be for the public. Did you know that? Metaverse was supposed to be literally just for corporations. During for Zoom meetings for Zoom meetings, right? Then they were like, well, how can we profit from this even more?
And like, I got an idea. Let's open virtual Wendy's.
Yeah, pretty much. Like that's
also
what
run by squatters.
Hashtag last episode.
Yeah, for real.
So, yeah, man. I just hate it when corporations do that.
Well, so we're on the gaming aspect of it. I'm kind of thinking the Wii. Did you like the Wii? I have one now, but I use it for GameCube games. I don't play the actual
okay.
Wii
Well,
games.
yeah, sure. Here's the thing. I love the Wii, but I was the perfect age for it.
Mm-hmm.
If I was the perfect age for it, I don't know if I'd get into it as much.
In a thing, it was like that in a way was kind of like it was like almost revolutionary. Where it's like, man,
it was the most okay.
You played bowling.
The Wii was the most. I think it was besides the PS2. I think it was the most sold console out there.
PS2 was very well sold.
Sure. So the Wii was like right there. And the most well-sold game on there was Wii Sports, which actually came for free, which is like kind of unheard of. And Resort actually was the second most sold. Mm-hmm. The cool thing about the Wii is that one of the reasons is it's super accessible. I think they were $199 each. Mm-hmm. I think my family had like 3 of them. So
yeah, we can afford a Wii.
And then we played it every night, honestly. It got the family together. That's why it was super popular. And yeah, because VR was still up in limbo, motion controls, that was a new thing. It was kind of cool. You're actually interacting with the game in a totally different way. It's not a new way per se that revolutionized the industry, because that idea has been toyed with before, but they were the ones who actually got it to work well, I think, as well as it did. So it actually was engineered.
I would say
really
Wii was very, it wasn't though. It was the freaking Xbox Kinect. Those things suck.
So yeah, I love it how they're like, why can't Nintendo keep up with Xbox and PlayStation? Well, why is Xbox and PlayStation trying to keep up with the Wii? Specifically Xbox with the freaking Kinect. What the heck was that?
And I kind of feel bad for my parents because I talked them into getting one, and then I complained about it immediately. How it just didn't work.
Mom, Dad's invading my privacy.
Star Wars Kinect was a lot of fun.
I never played. I never got to. I always wanted to. I never got to play
that
it. That
game was awesome. And
was it?
It was so stupid, but I loved it. That was the only game I enjoyed on it, because everything else, nothing worked. Nothing worked.
Right. It's just.
You remember the Kinect 2 when that came out? They were trying to bundle it with the Xbox One, and they put a little bullet point, works better than
better.
Now it reads your motions way
more.
Now
it actually works.
Yeah.
And then PlayStation came out with the PlayStation Move.
Yeah.
Which
Does
was
anyone use that?
Direct ripoff of the Wii, and no one used that. Just saying, when someone has a good idea, man. I think the game I played most on the Wii was The Force Unleashed, which was apparently the most inferior version, but I loved it. Swinging a lightsaber with the Wiimote, that's all I ever wanted. It was so freaking cool. And they just it came out. They got remastered for the Switch, and I bought it immediately.
Yeah, but there's that VR game that's Vader Immortal.
Yeah, I played for
it's a lot of fun.
10 minutes.
Oh man, you missed out.
Really?
Because the only disappointing thing, lightsaber combat's great, the Force is great, but the final fight with Darth Vader is so disappointing because he wins.
Right. He wins, right?
He's immortal.
Well, yeah.
But it's so. You don't fight him. You block a few lightsaber attacks and it initiates the next little cutscene thing.
Sure.
And then you block more attacks. You can't even really hit him. You can hit him. But yeah, it's so disappointing. That's the part that they knew everyone wanted to play. That.
Oh, sure.
Star Wars is only relevant because of lightsabers. Let's be real here. That's the only there's all sorts of things now. Star Trek has the lasers and blasters, but lightsabers has been what has kept Star Wars enduring the whole time. And they knew we wanted to have a good lightsaber fight, and they totally dropped the ball on it.
Well, I'm glad that the lightsaber combat was good because Dude, ever since I was a kid,
Yeah.
my gosh, I just want to hold a lightsaber. I want it so bad. And I actually believed I had the Force for a good part of my childhood, actually.
I got tons of lightsabers now.
Oh, really?
I went to Disney World, I made my own, and then I was like, oh, I like it, but I also bought another one off of Etsy.
I've always wanted to get like
a
really good one. Did the box say it much nicer than the first one? I've always wanted to get like a real lightsaber, but they're always like, I'm like, do I drop $300 on this?
Yeah, and they are pricey. Like, I could get a cheaper one.
My gosh, the inner 6-year-old in me, like, I absolutely need this.
It is kind of worth it. I ain't gonna lie to you.
To be honest, like, I'd still play with it. Dude, no, I'm not gonna lie. I love that stuff. So to close up with VR, I'm excited to see where it goes. I hope someone else picks up, like, where Facebook drops off.
Drop off, though. I don't know. I still think they're making great strides. But you know what? Meta isn't by no means a failure. Like Metaverse is, but like the Quest.
Yeah.
No means a failure.
Mm-hmm.
If someone takes that idea and just like previously with Nintendo and whatever treadmill thing I was talking about earlier, if someone could like take Meta and find a way to improve that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like every great stride someone can use to make the next thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Every development is a development.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of I'm really excited for where that's gonna go. Like it's very cool.
The only thing is, if they make it any more expensive than it is now, no one's gonna buy it.
Yeah, they just made video games $70. It's been $60.
I wouldn't say all of them, but yeah, a lot of them are pushing for it. And here's the problem. A lot of people are going to buy them. Yeah. Like, so for instance, if you make Call of Duty $70, well, Call of Duty is like one of the best selling games every single year, like without a doubt. You make it $70, no one's going to care. Like, even though they'll say they care, they don't care. They kind of forget the whole vote with your wallet thing. Mm-hmm. Like, if no one bought it, they would never do it ever again. It would take one, all it takes is one time for people to say, no, we're not buying that. But as soon as one company, Activision, gets away with it, then everyone else wants to get away with it, and it slowly trickles down to $70. Here's the thing: as far as like video game costs go, I get the whole argument where all games are more expensive, they're more demanding now, they have to make them more money. But it's also like one of the biggest industries in the world right now, and they make triple, quadruple, what they had to spend on it now. Especially with like with DLCs and microtransactions that they typically have. Like,
they're making their money.
Yeah, I'm sorry. When you have a game like Elden Ring, which is like almost perfect in every way, with no pay, they'll eventually have paid DLC, I imagine, but like no upfront, no pay DLC, no microtransactions, $60, just like everyone I was agreed with. That was okay. And game of the year. Just like it doesn't need to be $70. I really don't think so.
That $10 is not saving the company. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's legit just profit because, like you said, they're gonna have all this stuff they're gonna be doing: paid DLC, paid this, paid that.
Yeah, exactly. They'll make their money, no matter what. And hey, Ubisoft right now is actually really struggling. They had to cancel, I think, 7 games this year. Future prospects, and
that's what they get.
They're just the company who would probably make their game $70.
Oh,
I think some of them actually are. So it's like, I'm not gonna.
They make me sick.
Honestly, I play every Ubisoft game, but yes, they make me sick.
No, I mean they're killing off some really good franchises. Assassin's Creed, though, that's their cash cow. They keep milking that franchise.
Oh man, I've been playing that since I was a kid.
That's killing me. I stopped after Revelations because Ezio was the only thing I cared about.
I actually really like the new ones. The Odyssey and Valhalla. Those are pretty good.
Oh well, screw you then. Yeah, actually, while we're on, I guess we're still on video games. Guess what came out? Guess what's working on another game?
Oh boy, is it our favorite developer?
Yep. If y'all remember,
Jesus Christ himself.
Our favorite game developers, the creators of I Am Jesus Christ the game, are working
so successful. Apparently,
apparently still not out, but I imagine it's gonna make a ton of money. Like everyone's covering I Am Jesus Christ.
100% game of the year. Yeah.
Okay. This game, they're making another one, and it's supposed to come out this year. Q4, so like December, November. Mm-hmm. I highly doubt it. It's gonna get pushed back to all heck. But it's called Noah's Ark, and the goal behind it It's like you just literally build it, like build Noah's Ark. And this fed my thing where I thought it was going to be a VR game because it's got the same gameplay as I Am Jesus Christ, where you put your hands out and miracles happen.
Boy.
But on this one, like you pick up the hammer and you're hammering the nails in, I was like, bro, this game looks so boring. Like, and okay.
It takes 400 years to complete.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're gonna feel the whole thing. So okay, let me read about this game. Here's one thing. There's way less bullet points on this one. They are clearly putting all their eggs into I Am Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? Because on this one, it's so bare bones. Noah's Ark is one of the few Bible stories most people recognize. Now you can play a realistic simulator game inspired by those stories from Genesis. Check if you can proceed with this challenge of the biggest flood ever. So there's craft the ark. Okay, built according to the dimensions given in the Bible. That means we're gonna have to build the whole ark.
Wait a minute.
We have to build the whole thing.
Oh wow!
I was like, oh my god.
To be fair, though, I bet you anyone on like a bunch of people on Minecraft have already done that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's plenty of other games that do it better, and you get to like get the animals. You can make the coop, the chicken coop, and harvest your cows.
But this is like only half the job because the God's going to apparently fill it for you. So I don't know. Are there like choices in the game? Is there like morality?
No, it's missing all that. All that stuff we talked about with I Am Jesus
Christ. Because like, here's the thing. I could see this working if it was like a family simulator. You know those games where like you have to take care of your family while also doing all these complicated tasks? Oh, I could totally see that.
Wait till we get to the bottom of this one.
Oh boy, okay.
Use all resources around and prepare to be blown away by the massive dimensions of the biblical ark. The only thing that's going to blow me away is how boring it is. Right? I'd be like, man, I'm not even halfway done.
But Caleb, what if this is like Power Wash Simulator, where it's actually the most satisfying thing?
Power Wash Simulator?
You haven't played that?
No. Okay, we'll get to that after this. We're actually running toward the end of the podcast already.
Okay, continue the bullet points.
We've got so much we want to talk about now.
Pull up the bullet points. I want to hear the rest of them.
Save animals. So on this one, just like I Am Jesus Christ, you put the hands out.
Nice.
And now it looks way cheaper than Jesus Christ. But we put the hands out, this net flies out of your hands and captures a horse. This horse is walking. Doesn't have any normal human animal reaction.
Pokemon inspiration, got it?
Yeah, you just put your hands out and boom, net, like a Spider-Man. And then there you go, you just webbed your horse. And then it fades to black. It looks so dumb.
Yeah.
Explore surrounding areas as you track down different types of animal species. Start hunting animals in a new way. You need to save them and bring them to your ship instead of killing them. Mm-hmm. In stunning natural environments. This doesn't look good. The graphics, guys, do not look good. I Am Jesus Christ looks better than this one.
Ooh,
Set off in search of a variety of animal species in this hunting (saving) simulation. Survive the storm. It is time for the biggest flood ever in the world. Survive at your ship for 150 days, or an entire world of people and animals will be lost.
Okay.
So it sounds like what you're talking about, where you're managing your family, you're managing the resources, feed the horses.
Feed your field.
150 days? Like, is this a survival game? Like, at night, the zombies come out?
Absolutely, it's a survival game. Here's what we're going to do. Here's what this company's going to do.
Yeah.
They're going to make 400 of these freaking games.
Oh, my God.
And everyone's going to tackle another genre.
Yeah. You got the Cain and Abel expansion. No, Sodom and Gomorrah expansion.
The city simulator.
Yeah.
Evacuate the city in this mad days.
Yeah, or like participate in the acts that caused God to strike down the city. VR confirmed.
There's going to be like a first-person shooter where it's just David and Goliath. No, that's going to be. I can see the trailer now. The hands go out, and the sling just goes.
Slingshot just. Last bullet point, and more.
And more, absolutely.
I don't want to know what else is going on.
This is going to be like the VeggieTales of video game. Like, there's going to be something of every Bible story. They're going to pump these out every year.
Yeah, Cain and Abel, Adam and Eve.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's a dating simulator.
Eve begat Seth. And it's like, I don't want to act this out.
Listen, okay, so one of the coolest characters in the Bible. You ever heard of? I think his name was.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Why is Power Wash Simulator $25?
Because it's actually freaking amazing.
Okay. Well, go ahead with your thought. What were you saying?
Ehud. Have you ever heard of Ehud the assassin?
No.
Okay, basically he was an assassin in the Israeli army that actually assassinated a king. He was a judge. Super cool dude. I'm just saying, I always thought it'd be cool if Assassin's Creed did a spin on that, but now that could be a reality. If this company like blows up, who made the I Am Jesus, and we do get one every year. I mean, Really, paint me a picture, Caleb. What is like your perfect Bible game with this company? Like, if they had to tackle any subject, what would be the first one?
I thought I would enjoy Jesus. So, I mean, that's a tough one, but I guess if we had to, I would love to see a Revelation game where you get to see all the weird Apollyon creatures.
Oh my gosh, it'd be like an RPG or something.
Yeah, but that'd be so expensive. There's no way they could actually make that a game.
Dude, here's the thing.
You saw that boss fight with Satan in I Am Jesus Christ.
I bet you could get Square Enix on it, like a weird Japanese developer, because they love that stuff. They love the weird Revelation stuff. And make it like an RPG, just like Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
And 100%, dude. I think last time I read Revelation, there was like I think they described like a creature that was like, I don't know, like a beetle or something, but like the size of a bear, like crazy stuff like that. Dude, I'd love to see some of that illustrated in real life or in a video game, you know.
All right, let me look at this. Release the Pressure.
Yeah. That's literally what it is.
Power Wash Simulator.
It's like it's to ease your mind, Caleb.
Let's see. Wash away your worries with the soothing sounds of high pressure water. Fire up your power washer and blast away every speck of dirt and grime you can find, all with simple satisfaction of power washing to a sparkling finish. If you can see, I'm really into this. Oh, like you can't see my eyes.
You can't. It's one of those games, dude, where you can't mock it until you play it.
You know, I would
look at the reviews.
I see it's overwhelmingly positive.
When does that ever happen?
Let's see. Relax, unwind in single player, or play with friends in online co-op. Either way, have good, clean fun.
Play with me, Caleb. Clean fun.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, there's not a lot of oh no, here's some description. It's not as entertaining as Noah's Ark though, but you know, I think I can understand if the water sounds are like really good.
It's the same reason people play Truck Simulator. Like,
I would love to play Truck Simulator. Yeah, no, I would. Like, okay. My biological dad, not a good person, but he used to take me on the road with him truck driving. That was a lot of fun. You know, so I think that'd be kind of cool. I don't know.
They just came out with Texas.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Now, how realistic do you think is the gameplay on that?
What? Truck Simulator?
Yeah, Texas.
Oh, you haven't played it. No. I've played a little bit. Actually, pretty realistic, I would say. And it's kind of cool how they map out like so much. I think they have like.
Can I drive by my house and be like, wow?
I don't think it's
they got this right.
They actually list on their website what areas they cover. Believe it or not, they have one of our friends' apartment buildings.
No way.
Yes, like I saw it, I was like, "There's no way." That is it. But no,
downtown?
I try. Yeah, downtown Fort Worth.
I know you're talking about.
It's that building because they have Fort Worth, they have Dallas. They don't have really many neighborhoods.
You mean I can't drive to Amarillo? Was that what you're telling me? I can't go on down to Amarillo, Texas, where there's nothing out there.
Well,
and just drive out there for fun.
We can load up I Am Jesus Christ, and it kind of looks the same.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh God. I walked to Galilee. There's like no street signs.
Can't we fast travel? No,
that's an absolutely heck no. Oh my gosh.
Well, I believe that brings us to our conclusion today.
I don't know because we could also talk about
women.
No, we're gonna be here another 4 hours. I actually really liked interesting story while we were talking about microtransactions and stuff that just doesn't need to exist. Marvel's Avengers. Do you remember that? The game. Oh wait,
isn't it that game where like you play as what's her name? Kamala. Kamala Khan.
Oh, yeah, Kamala Khan. Now, I don't know if that's her powers in the actual comics where she just stretches her arm out and she's like Taffy. Yeah. And just like slaps people.
Yeah, like Clayface.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like I think Mrs. Incredible from The Incredibles, except not as cool.
So what about it? I remember it had like a bunch of microtransactions.
Okay, so the game releases and they made a big stink about how like, oh, it's like there's going to be no microtransactions, there's no pay-to-win mechanics. Pay-to-win means like you pay money to get an edge over other players and all that kind of stuff. They promised none of that would be in there.
Yeah.
And then like right out the gate, like one of the first things they did was like put in XP boosters where you get more, you can level up faster if you pay for it. So
I see.
So they backtracked that. So the game releases, it's what we call a live service.
Games as a service, live service.
Yeah, live service where they release a game, it's very bare bones, then over time they'll release more fun stuff, more story, more gameplay levels, more characters, and then the base game is so bare bones, so boring that people quit playing, and then it just fails as a game. And so you got so much so many other examples of it happening. Anthem, freaking Destiny. Like, they'll just release a boring, subpar game that they end up canceling because nobody plays. So Marvel's Avengers comes out. Story, not that good. Gameplay mechanics, not that interesting. And then they to their credit, they supported it longer than a lot of other other games.
Would,
yeah. And
when you talk about people who just like no one ever played it, like I'm pretty sure no one ever played that.
Yeah.
Like because like from what I saw, I think I watched someone play it one time. It like for the first like 4 hours it looks promising, 3 or 4 hours, and then like it completely changes gears.
Yeah, the opening gameplay, there's just the first mission was kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You get to play as like the Avengers, and then like it turns into just
first time we switched to the Hulk.
Like this weird competitive like capture the flag thing.
Yeah.
But it's player versus enemy, so it's PvE, which means it's just you against AI. And it's just that it's repetitive, like over and over and over again. Like, what's the point? Like, why? They had a great idea. Like, I think it would have been fun to have like a game where like you can play as any of the Marvel characters.
Yeah. And
just like go through the story. Like, I think that'd be really fun.
Yeah. They added Hawkeye later. They had a really cool Future Imperfect expansion.
They had Spider-Man. That's just like
well, the Spider-Man thing was like that was a ripoff because they made people who were PS4 owners pre-order for Spider-Man, but then they came out with this BS story about how they were like, well, we don't want other players who can't play Spider-Man to feel bad. So he's in the game, but he doesn't have any bonus levels. He doesn't have a story pack, like nothing.
Oh, that's stupid.
He was just in the game, like you could play as him, but there was like, and then like the voice actor they picked for him sucked.
Yeah.
They picked like a guy who was like had an annoying kid voice who was like the whole time he was unsure of himself as a person. Every other iteration of Spider-Man, they're like they got personality traits. They're like confident in who they are, and then in this one, it's like I don't know. It's just so weird. The actor approached it from an angle of like, geez, Rick, I don't know what I'm supposed to do now.
Oh my God, it's Warland. He's back. He's trying to get back in the industry.
Exactly. Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, it was so bad. Good news on that front. Marvel's Avengers will no longer be existing here pretty soon. They finally have realized they're not going to make any money. They're about to go bankrupt as a game. Like there's just not enough people are playing it in order to get them to want to make more characters, release more story levels. It's such a good example of just make a good game and people will play it. You don't have to let's just make a game that we're going to add stuff to over time. You know what I mean? Failure after failure with the new business model. Just make a good game that people want to play. Let's go back to the old days. Make a good game that's fun to play when it's released.
Right.
And then freaking add DLC to it later.
Yeah.
Actual expansion packs.
To be done. Just be done with it.
You want more money? I'll give you more money. Give me some more good storylines. Yeah. So, thank God it's finally about to be put out of its misery. It's been dying for years now. Ever since it launched poorly. And
the unfortunate side of that, I don't think we're going to I don't think that's the last we've seen of that business model.
I wish. I can dream, Harold.
It's just like once the company's done it, and it was... I don't even think... So, here's the thing. A successful version of that would be like Warframe, for instance. Have you ever played that?
I've not, but I've heard a lot about it.
Yeah, it's very similar, almost the exact same thing, but like they cut down a lot of the microtransactions. Like you can earn everything for free. One of the big things about the game is you can earn everything for free, and it's not like one of those things where you have to grind a little bit, but like people enjoy the grind. Like it actually makes the grind enjoyable. With Marvel's Avengers, it just felt like the grind was just like the same thing over and over.
Anytime you have to use the word grind to describe a game, it's pretty sad.
I hate grinding, so that's probably why I don't play Warframe. But a lot of people actually do enjoy it. I don't judge them for it. I just like you said, I like going. I love story, dude. I love going through a nice story. I love having fun when I'm playing it. Like open world, sandbox, whatever, but as long as the story's good. I'm playing through Cyberpunk, actually replaying Cyberpunk. Okay. I never played through the whole thing.
I never played it either.
And after all these updates, I have to tell you, it's actually a really good story. And the gameplay is really fun. It's still really janky in a lot of areas, and there's some parts that make me angry. But the story is actually really, really good. I didn't think it was going to be that good.
I don't get how they can release a game in the condition that they release something like Cyberpunk in. It clearly needed 3 more years of development.
But dude, the fact that it was announced 12 years prior to that, ridiculous amount. Like, it was now so freaking long ago. So it's like, I don't know what happened to it. Was that even during COVID when it came out? I think it was during COVID when it came.
Actually, I think you got a point.
Yeah,
Might
yeah.
have been COVID.
Which that might actually tie into it a little bit. I'm not sure, but
Maybe.
Yeah,
You would think during COVID.
I'm not forgiving them for what they did.
Yeah.
Like, there's no
during
forgiveness
COVID
there.
though they had more time to work on the game.
Yeah, but then you have to think about, like, no one can come to the office. Like, remember how it was back then? Like, no one could leave their house.
I still had to go to work.
No one. Yeah, me too. I was essential staff.
Yeah, essential my eye.
Oh my gosh, dude. Yeah, this old lady needs help bring bags to her car. Can't do that herself. No. We need essential staff for that.
Hope you wore a mask.
Oh, it's funny.
Well, I think it's been a good episode. So
Sure.
I think with that we should bid adieu before we run out of material. My list is running short.
Oh boy.
But with that, I thank y'all for joining us again. I've been Caleb, and this has been my boy Shaps.
Yeah.
And I think we've had a good episode. Hope we see y'all next time.
Have a sunny or dark evening.
Yeah, for all our international fans,
Yeah.
please have a safe winter season. I know all the guys overseas watching us, all billions of the people in China.
Sure.
Be safe out there.
They need something to hold on to.
That's right. Y'all have a good rest of your day, and thank you for joining us today. See you next time.